When Olight released the Arkfeld, it was one of the first flat lights which was multifunction. It was a 2-in-1. It was a laser and a flashlight. Then they came out with the Arkfeld UV, which was a flashlight and a UV light. Then they came out with the Arkfeld Pro, which was a 3-in-1 light, and that meant that it had the white light, the UV, and the laser. But now here is the Imalent GR35, a 4-in-1 flat light. Welcome back to Shul Lights. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the Imalent GR35, which is a flat light that looks very similar to like an Arkfeld, except that it boasts to be a 4-in-1 instead of a 3-in-1. We'll take a look at those functions. And in many ways, I think that they have resolved some of the inadequacies of the Arkfeld. But I also think their design is marred with a few questionable design choices, and we'll talk about those. So I guess it all depends on what you're looking for in a flashlight. This might be the answer. This might be the Arkfeld killer for you, or some of these questionable design choices might really stick in your craw. So let's get right to the box. The box is a really beautiful affair. It's really glossy, and it's got a full color image there. It's got the blue shiny sides here that say Imalent. And this is a sleeve that slides off of the main box. And once you get to the main box, it's got a magnetic flap right here. And then when you open it, it's got a little box you lift up. And then the flashlight would be right there. But of course, I already have it in my hands. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that on the front of the box, it had this this kind of shape, and it's like, well, what is that? Well, this, at least the premium edition, and that's the one they sent me, so this is the GR35 PE premium edition. It comes with a kind of a charging case, kind of like the Baton series with Olight. So there's this extra case it comes with, which opens up. It's got a nice little kind of cloth flap here. And the light just inserts magnetically into it, and you can see it's charging, and then it just closes around it. So it can be carried in this fashion, in this case, and used from the case because there's an open end over here. Yeah, it's kind of like they took the Arkfeld line and combined it with the Baton line from Olight. And the Baton is an insanely popular line, so it looks like this is going to be something people really like. Now, you might think, oh, so I have to have this case in order to charge it. And the answer is no, you don't, because on the light itself, it has a USB-C charge port right here. Let me get a better focus on it. So there you go, USB-C charge. So you do not need to carry this larger case with it, but if you want to, as I said, the case itself has a battery in it and will charge the light, as well as on the end here, you have a USB-C charge port for the case itself with charge indicators for the case. So this case will be green when it's at 100% down to, I believe, 60%. And then these lights will turn yellow when they're between 30% and 60%. And then they turn red when they're under 30%. Now, you might think that row of lights, it's going to, kind of like decrease like a signal bar on your phone. But that's not the case. It's just a design, and they will go green, yellow, or red. Likewise, on the light itself, there is a charge indicator down here at the bottom. Let me go ahead and turn it on so you can see that it's got 3 green lights right there. Now, the lights are spaced out kind of interestingly. There's a lot of interesting design choices on this light. I'm going to get back to the design in a second. But there is no reason for it to be spaced out other than aesthetics. Like the charging case, this will either be green or red. It's not going to empty. It's not like this one's going to turn off, then this. They just are all green or they're all red. And on the light itself, the way it works is it's going to be green up until it's almost dead. It's green until about 3.3 volts, which is almost dead. And then it turns red, and then it starts flashing red when it's at 3.1 volts, which 3.1 volts is absolutely dead. You should not bring your battery below 3 to 2.5 volts. That's kind of empty range. Let's go over the ergonomics of this light really quickly. I want to say that it feels really good in hand, and I actually like the look of it. It's got a kind of a, cyberpunk neo tech look to it, which I really like. I actually think it looks very attractive. The things that I will point out is that one, it is about the same size as an Arkfeld, just a little bit longer, but the overall shape and size are very comparable, okay? It is actually a little bit lighter weight than an Arkfeld. Arkfeld, at least in the O aluminum, is 120 grams, and the Imalent GR35 is about 100 grams, so it's about a fifth lighter, and I noticed it. So if you were gonna put this on, let's say, a ball cap with the clip here as an impromptu headlight, it's going to be lighter weight and not push your ball cap down as much. I like the attractive blue accents around the bezel and the tail here and on the back. Now, as far as the design of it, which I do find very nice, the button itself feels really clicky and easy to turn. I like it, and it's got a kind of positive little click to it. Let me see if I can get this on my mic. Hear that little click? So it's a really nice wheel, a nice turning wheel here with a clicky button in the middle, which I like. Last thing I'll say about the ergonomics here is just that this case is magnetic. There's a magnetic flap right here, and I don't know if there's a right way to open it. I guess you could get your thumb under here and kind of peel it up. You could also just push it. I just kind of push it to the side. You saw me grab right here and open it. It all works. The only thing that I think is pretty questionable about the design is the clip itself, and you'll notice that the clip is almost smack dab right in the center of the light. It is about the furthest from a deep carry clip I can imagine. So when I said questionable design, attributes at the beginning of the video, this is the main thing I'm thinking about. Is this clip is really weird to me. Sorry to say. Here's the good news. The good news is I wouldn't carry it with the clip. I mean, first off, I couldn't really, right? Because you're going to put it in your pocket. It's going to stick out this far. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of my lights, a lot of my personal carry lights, I just put in pouches and put at the bottom of my pocket. Here's my Jimenez light, and you'll see my Jimenez light doesn't have a clip at all. So I do like clips, but sometimes I like not having a clip at all. And so I think I would just look at this light as not having a clip. I think I would just kind of keep it in its charging case or at the bottom of my pocket. Let's go over the UI really quickly. So the UI is really easy to pick up. You have these different notches right here, and there's 4 different settings. The one on the right here, which, these icons could probably be a little better, in my opinion, because that looks like floodlight to me, and that's not what that is. That's a side light. So when I click it in this position, it turns this side light on right here, which flashes red and blue. And that side light literally only flashes red and blue, and only at that intensity. So it's a feature. This is the second questionable feature I had in my mind. I can just ignore it. It's not something I need, but I don't think I would ever use a flashing blue or red where I couldn't set the timing or the lumens on it. So it's kind of an interesting non-feature in my opinion. But then this next section here, this is the actual floodlights. Now, this is where the light gets really good. The floodlights on this, to me, are so much better than the Arkfeld. And I'll show that in a moment on the wall in the beam section. But let's go on with the UI. So this is the floodlight, and you can just click it, and you see it turns on. And there's dual LEDs, dual reflectors. Then I can turn this one more to the UV. And of course, that will turn on the UV emitter in the center here. And then if I flick it one more time, we are now on the green laser. I found the floodlights to be, the 2 main emitter, the white emitters, to be way better than what you get on the Arkfeld, even the new Arkfeld Pro. So if you're looking for an upgrade on the floodlight, I think this one is a definite upgrade. If you're looking for something that's an upgrade on the UV on this is capable, but it's not as good as the UV found on the Arkfeld Pro. And if you're looking for a better laser, and the laser is almost exactly comparable. I'll shine both lasers on the wall in a moment. You'll see there's little difference, if any. Let's carry on with the UI, and I'll just point out one last thing, and that is there is a lockout button on the side here. So down at the tail area, next to where the indicator is, if you tap twice, click, click, it will flash red right here, and now it is electronically locked out in all modes. Now, that electronic lockout actually carries over to even the case itself. So if it is in a lockout state like it is now, and I put it in the case, and I hit the button, nothing's going to happen. Now, if I open the case up, and I go click, click, and it will now hopefully be unlocked out. There we go. Notice that it is operable inside the case here. And one of the things I want to point out about this is no matter where the dial is, I can rotate this to any position. It's going to just come on in floodlight. So even as I turn it, it's a floodlight. And that makes sense because, I mean, you'd be charging it and you'd be arguably wanting to use a white light while the light is dead and you've got it in the case and you're charging it. So that makes a lot of sense to me. All right, let's compare the beam profile of the GR35 to the Arkfeld Pro. So one of the things that people often don't like about the Arkfeld Pro is how floody it is. It's just a big, this is turbo, and it's a big floody circle. It doesn't have a lot of candela. You can't get out there very far if you're like in the woods or something. Now, the new GR35 has the dual reflectors, and they're just way more candela. Notice that this is at low, and notice how much more concentrated it is than the Arkfeld. There we go. That's the Arkfeld at medium. You can barely see it. And here's the GR35. Let me go to turbo again on the Arkfeld, turn the Arkfeld off, and here's turbo on the GR35. And you can see how much more intense it is. So there's the Arkfeld, there's the GR35. So the GR35 has a tighter, more definite hotspot and then a spill, whereas the Arkfeld Pro is just kind of an amorphous spill. Now that, I suppose, is just, opinion. Some people might really like the Arkfeld beam, but I always want as much candela as possible in my lights. I want to put the light where I want it, and so this is a welcome addition. All right, let's take a look at the UV selection on both lights. Here is a phosphorescent rock here. Now, because I don't have a UV filter on my camera, you're going to notice a lot of kind of pinkish UV blowback. Let me turn my overhead lights off. Now, I'm going to use both lights at the same distance here, okay? So this is the GR35 right now on the right. I'm going to turn it off. Now I'm going to turn on the Arkfeld Ultra, and you'll see how much brighter it is, not only just the UV blowback, but the actual phosphorescent kind of orange stripes in the rock. So let me turn off the Arkfeld, go back to the GR35, and you can see again that it is definitely not as bright as the Arkfeld Pro. Now, if you're using your UV a lot, that could be a ding against the GR35. However, I'm going to tell you right now that most people use UV very little, and if they needed a strong UV light, they wouldn't go for a combo light. So to have an extra feature in this light for checking documents, checking IDs, money to see if it's valid, it's going to work, okay? You don't need to blast the UV. So it's one of those things where I think that, again, this might not be a feature that matters to people a whole lot. And I think that the main emitters being brighter and more candela is probably a win. Now let's take a look at the last feature in both lights, which is the laser. And we're going to take a look on my wall again. Here is the GR35. You can see the green dot. And here's the Arkfeld and the green dot. And you can see that they're basically comparable. They're very bright. They're easily seen in daylight even if you're not too far away. So if you're identifying something on a wall, it shouldn't be a problem. And at night, it goes quite a distance. To achieve the high output, of course, these are cool white emitters, and we'll take a measurement of them right now. You can see they're just under 6,000 Kelvin, and they're quite a bit above delta UV, and they're low CRI. We're going to go to the lowest mode first, which says 28 lumens. Now, they quoted 20 lumens, and I'm getting 28, and they're also calling this a moonlight. That is not a moonlight to me. That is just a low. Now let's go up a mode, and we got 150 lumens. Then we have about 500 lumens. Then we have almost 900 lumens. And then it should go up to 1550 lumens. Now, if I double tap, we get 2500 lumens, and then it starts dropping. This runtime might be a little skewed because I didn't allow it to rest between going from high to turbo, but it'll still give you an idea. The light is getting quite hot around the front here. In fact, so hot that I don't really want to hold it. Wow, that's actually quite hot. And you can see the output is dropping, and we haven't hit 30 seconds yet. Okay, it's dropped quite a lot, and then we are now at 30 seconds. That is a really, it is quite hot at the front here. So this is one of those lights where it can do turbo, it can get you out there, get that candela you want, but don't run it for a long time. It's meant to be used as an impulse. It's meant to be used short to see something, then step back down to high or medium, get off that turbo. Time for beam shots between the Arkfeld Pro Ultra and the new Imalent GR35. This is going to be a really important section because this is really going to show why the Imalent GR35 might be the superior flat light. Let's go first to the Arkfeld, straight to turbo. So this tree right here is 20 meters. Then this tree back here, not this one, but this one is 55 meters. And I'm barely making that one. And I'm definitely not making the palm trees in the back at 150 meters. But now let's take a look at the Imalent. And oh wow, what a difference. Look at the difference. This is the throw-ear optic and more lumens due to a dual emitter design. Again, let's go the Arkfeld Pro Ultra and the Imalent GR35. Now let's go 55 meters, Arkfeld Pro Ultra and Imalent G35. It is not even a contest. All right, so here's my conclusion. Is this the Arkfeld killer? Well, I guess it depends on what you value in your light. It does have all the same features as an Arkfeld Pro in a lighter package, and then the premium edition comes with this cool charging case. I don't know that I value the side light a whole lot, so I'm going to ignore that feature for me. The laser is a complete wash. The UV is a little bit not as intense, but again, that's not something that bothers me, because if I want a really strong UV light, I'm going to go with a dedicated UV light. This UV function would just be, again, for checking authenticity of documents and banknotes and things like that. So really, it comes down to the emitters and design. Now, the emitters I find better on the Imalent GR35. They have more candela, they're more concentrated, and they go farther. I don't mind that's low CRI. Both are low CRI anyways, and we're just talking about a high output light. Even the design, I like a little bit better than the Arkfeld. The only strike against it that I can see is the really poor clip placement, but people didn't really love the clip on the Arkfeld either. I mean, it is better, and then they improved it. They got a little more deep carry. I suppose just because I wouldn't really be using this clip, it doesn't really bother me. For me, this clip is really only there for, like, clipping onto a hat and using this fashion. I don't think it's a big issue for me. If it's a big issue for you, then just be aware. But I could definitely see at the price point that the GR35 is at, and you can see a link in my description for where to get it. I think that the GR35 is a definitely a light you should check out against the Arkfeld Pro. As I said, the fact that the emitters are so much throwier is a big deal for me. That's a big deal. So thanks for watching my review. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next review.